Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Green Flag. I'm your host, Lukas Wacker. With me, as always, we have Kyle Cushman, and oh boy, welcome to the Bristol Dirt preview show, as well as F1 returning this weekend in Bahrain for their season opener. What a weekend in motorsports with these two events on hand. Oh my goodness, this is a episode we've been dreading and looking forward to for quite a while. It's going to be chaotic, to say the least, I think, on both sides of things this weekend. So we'll do our fantasy preview as per usual for this episode.
Unfortunately.
And, this is just, just to keep things going. But if we had the choice, we wouldn't do it this week because we have no idea what is going to happen.
Not a
but
damn clue.
We'll see if we can score over 50 points this week, if that's even possible. So that's going to be coming up relatively soon on this episode. We don't really have any news and notes on today's show. And then we'll look at our predictions for the Bahrain Grand Prix. Qualifying will already have happened by the time you're watching this. But nonetheless, it is fun for us to still make a couple of predictions because it is like basically a formality on this show. But that's what we got on deck for today. But before we get into all that, how are you doing today, Kyle?
I don't know how I'm doing right now. I'll be honest.
That's fair.
This weekend, oh man, I'm super hyped about F1, but for NASCAR, man, I have no clue what to expect, whether it's the truck series or the cup, whatever it is. It's just going to be pure chaos, and I simultaneously can't wait for it, and I'm dreading it. So not looking forward to have to making predictions there, but in general, feeling good because we got F1 back. That's always fun, and it's a wide open grid, it seems, right now, especially in the mid-pack and even at the top end as well. So an overall very, very interesting weekend coming up. I think that's the best way to put it.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know where to go about this or where to start because there is so many different layers, not just talking about the dirt, but there's a whole bunch of different layers here to this fantasy preview for NASCAR. I mean, we can just kind of jump right into this and talk a little bit about what happened earlier on Friday with the practices for the truck series and, of course, the cup series. It was pretty surreal to see NASCAR on the dirt in this way, specifically at Bristol Motor Speedway. This is unlike anything we've seen in over 50 years in this sport, specifically for the Cup Series. The trucks always race on dirt, it seems, in the past couple of years, of course, with Eldora. But this is new for a whole bunch of these guys in the Cup Series. And I have to give them props, just straight up props right out of the gate because they went in there cold. And iRacing did its best on Wednesday night. Congratulations to William Byron on that.
The easy win. Stuff isn't very good.
But we're going to look past that. We're not even going to talk about what happened there on Wednesday. But nonetheless, it was a very interesting to see practice sessions. Of course, we love practice. That's the most important thing here. But Cup guys on the track, on the dirt at Bristol, it was just pretty crazy to see. And I was entertained. I would much rather have Bristol as, original form on the high banks, on the concrete. But nonetheless, this is what we've got for this weekend. And I'm going to take it as it is. I'm sure you are too, Kyle. This is as much as we can do from the seats that we are sitting in. We can just enjoy the racing that happens this weekend, no matter what your stance is on it. So your initial impressions, I know you didn't get to see too much of it, but just the realization that this is real, that we have cars on dirt at Bristol.
It's nuts. It's completely stupid, irrational, but it's also kind of fun. And that's kind of what we heard from drivers a lot today. As you mentioned, I didn't really get a chance to watch any practice today, only really a couple minutes there. But from what the drivers had to say is that it was fun. And that's exactly what you would hope for in this situation, because it's so out there in terms of anything that the Cup Series specifically has done. And even the Truck Series, this is completely different from Eldora as well. So very, very strange to finally see it. I really didn't know what to expect. And I still don't even know if I realize what I'm witnessing right now. It's just so strange, but it's also kind of cool at the same time. As similar to you, I'd prefer being there on the pavement and having a normal Bristol race and all that kind of stuff. But with the cards we've been dealt, I'm going to appreciate it for what it is, and it's going to be pure chaos and hopefully fun. It can go one of two ways, essentially. It can be chaotic good, or it's going to be chaotic evil in terms of just cautions galore, spins, and just super long, drawn out, and nothing really exciting happens over like a long green flag run. Or it can be relatively clean race. It's going to be chaotic in terms of maybe different people at the front being on dirt for crying out loud, and just seeing how the track evolves over 250 damn laps and all those kind of things. So very, very interested to see how everything starts to play out. And that begins with some of the heat races on Saturday.
Yeah, of course. It's I mean, not to mention that we have rain as an added element here, it seems, for both races here this weekend. And the big storyline coming out of yeah, of course, why not? Just adding a little bit of rain. But the big storyline that came out of the practice sessions today was, of course, the tire wear. It was pretty severe to what Goodyear initially thought it would be. These tires are absolutely destroyed, it seems, after about 30 laps max, it seems, and the final stage is 100 laps. So they're obviously going to have to look into it, because let's not forget there are no live pit stops for this event. It's only at the stage break. So drivers have to nurse these tires. But if they're already, balded by the time they get to 30 laps, we're looking at some pretty hectic stuff in that final stage for sure. Not to say that even if they were not balding that it wouldn't be hectic, but this is just another added element, and we'll see what NASCAR does if they decide to just let them race, or if they put in a competition caution or something in that final stage to give teams another set of tires to come and change. But they don't have the regular pit crews this weekend either. They just have some engineers basically at the track, not your usual 4-tire stop people. They get the week off this week with no live pit stops, as I mentioned. So that's an added element here. We'll see what NASCAR does. They're going to have to make a decision on that relatively quickly here with the qualifying races today when you're watching this. So going to be very, very interesting to see what they do in that respect. And practice was just another layer to this already fascinating storyline here that is the Bristol Dirt. So any more comments that you have to add, Kyle, before we try and take our best stab in the dark of our fantasy picks for this weekend?
No, nothing really else to add. Again, I didn't really get a chance to check out any of practice. I'm sure it was nutty and just ridiculous as you would expect. But at the very least, it's nice to see practice. It's nice to see things like that again, because it's been a while.
Second practice session of the year, so we're
right?
flying through them already.
Yeah. Don't even get me started on that again. But you know what? At least they're having practice for where they need it in the big races and whatnot. So again, we'll have it back in more capacity next year. But for now, we got to embrace and cherish those little practices we get.
Absolutely. All righty, Kyle. The moment we have not been looking forward to, but the moment we have to do nonetheless, it's NASCAR fantasy time for the Bristol Dirt Race. 6 picks as per usual. Got the bonus picks as well. Good Lord, if you get any of these right this week, you just deserve an A+, because it is just going to be,
I'm not going to go
I think, that hectic. Far. With the bonus picks, I just think anything could happen this weekend. I think there's just so many different guys that could go out there and just get top finisher, or even win the race, or from a different manufacturer or something like that.
I would say so, in like the same way as like a super speedway, where there's some contenders that you would expect to be there, but if you maybe take a swing on somebody you don't expect and it goes up, then you get the props. But I don't think, at least for a couple of these names, you deserve a ton of props. But we'll see how things play out here.
All righty. So as I was victorious last week, I think I go first for this one,
sure.
Correct?
I don't know. I still haven't figured it out which order we should go in, but
fair enough. But 3-3 on the head-to-head this season. Oh, man, here we go.
You got the edge overall, though. So
yeah, I do have the edge overall. Thank you. But let's see if you can crawl back some points here this week at the Bristol Dirt.
Oh, man, I'm just hoping to survive.
All right, so my first pick, there's going to be absolutely really no rationale from this, except really the practice times that we saw on Friday. I can't judge it off of any other, short track stats or past Bristol success. This is an entirely different beast.
Well, I mean, if they just race their way through all the dirt, then maybe it turns into one. But
I don't know. There's definitely a possibility, but no, there's not. I'll take the off chance that it does stay in its dirt form. And my first pick for this week is going to be Alex Bowman.
Okay.
He's in my lineup this weekend. very impressed with the speed that they showed in both practice sessions, both on the short run and the long run. And he has had some midget success. Obviously, that's where he came up from on the dirt scene. So I'm going to go with Alex Bowman. I have the usages in hand. I think I only have, I have 9 still remaining with Bowman for the season. So I feel like I can let this one go a little bit here this weekend. If he struggles and I have to keep him in the lineup, so be it. I don't feel too bad about losing a Bowman usage off of this one, but I feel good about Bowman. He seems like he's in a good headspace here, and we'll see if that top 5 at Atlanta can translate into a good run here at the Bristol Dirt.
Yeah, I've got Bowman in there as well, mainly because of the practice times as well, but he does have the background in dirt. But the big thing for him, for myself at least, is he's one of those like handful of guys who are with a team that's performing very well right now in Hendrick Motorsports, and is also a guy that you're not super concerned about hitting that 10 usages for and not being able to use him late in the regular season. So looking at those two, looking at the speed so far in practice, I think he's at least a decent swing here, just given the background and the speed so far.
All righty. You get the next pick, sir. Number 2.
Number 2, and I'm going to one of the obvious ones, I think, and that's Christopher Bell. I've had him in my lineup once, ended up garaging him, so I've still got all 10 usages left for him here. I think that he can be strong the rest of the season, but with 10 usages still to go, I'm not concerned about using it all the way up the rest of the season. And of course, he's one of the most notable dirt guys in the field right now. So looking at the background, looking at the team, looking at the usages situation, similar to Bowman, I feel pretty confident about tossing Christopher Bell in there and seeing what he can do.
Yeah, I as well have him in. Despite having a couple of usages on him already, I'm going to go back to him again here this weekend. Has had 2 rough weekends when I've kind of had him in here at Phoenix and as well as Atlanta. But I'll take another stab at him here for all the reasons you just mentioned there. Not too impressive on the timing sheets with averages over a longer run, but I still have faith that Christopher Bell, if it comes down to bald tires, that he'll just be able to run his way through the field, because that's probably where he feels most comfortable, is driving a loose and slick car on a very low grip racetrack. So I'll go with him for this weekend. I may regret this decision down the line with usages as the season rolls along, but I'll go with the dirt guy here in Christopher Bell as my second pick. All righty, number 3. This is where I honestly struggle from here on out. So
yeah.
Number 3. Damn. Okay, I'm gonna go with Ryan Newman here. The guy looked pretty good in both series that he's in. He's doing double duty this weekend in the trucks and the Cup Series, so I like that a little bit as well. Getting as much seat time as you can on the surface this weekend. It's only going to pay dividends. It's not going to be too much of a hindrance at all. It's should basically help these guys quite a bit. But I like Ryan Newman a lot. He has had a couple of good runs in the dirt in the past, and I am nowhere near going to be using 10 usages on Ryan Newman this season. So, and it looks like it's going to be difficult to pass. And who's tougher to pass than Ryan Newman? Absolutely nobody. So I'm going to put Ryan Newman as my third guy in the lineup for Bristol Dirt.
I like that shout, doing the double duty as well and look strong, especially in the trucks there. I'm not going to have Ryan Newman in my lineup here.
We'll have a different lineup. All right, let's go.
We start to diverge here at this point. And the next one I'm going to is another one of those kind of classic dirt background guys, and that's Chase Briscoe for myself. Again, one of those guys that I don't feel all that concerned about using usages for the rest of the year. He's maybe a guy that you toss into a lineup at a road course or something like that. But other than that, I don't really think that he's probably getting into your lineup very much the rest of the way. As a rookie as well, usually difficult, but this is a weekend where it's difficult for everybody. So I'm not concerned about any rookie mistakes or anything like that, because everybody will be making rookie mistakes. And for Chase Briscoe, he's run the Eldora truck race multiple times. He's won there. He's one of those guys that has among the most experience for a stock car on dirt like this. So I like Briscoe this weekend. And again, kind of similar to Bowman and Bell, a guy at a strong, we think a strong team is Stuart Haas. We don't know this season, but one of those guys at a better team that is going out and not concerned about usages the whole season. So Chase Briscoe, combined with the dirt background and how much he's run in the Truck Series on dirt as well, he makes my lineup.
All righty. That's a good one. I think you have number 4 here, sir.
Yes, going back to back here, and I'll go. This next one's a bit of a swing. I don't really know how to feel about it, but he's a guy that has done pretty well on dirt. As a team, they've done pretty well so far, kind of either exceeding expectations or running consistently this season. And I think that they may be a surprise team, even though they're maybe not high end in terms of the speed chart so far. And I'm looking at Ricky Stenhouse Jr. for this one here. A bit of a swing on this one, JTG. He's a guy that I'm not concerned about usages for this season. And so for that reason, I don't want to put any like big name guys in at this point. And potentially use up one of those usages when no one really knows what's going to happen here. So I'm looking for some guys that could maybe be some value. And JTG has been very consistent to start this year, especially with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. there. He's been strong on dirt in the past. He was at the Chili Bowl earlier this year, for example. Obviously, no correlation between those cars and these cars, but at least he has some experience on dirt. And I think he could surprise some people depending on how things go this weekend. So Ricky Stenhouse Jr., bit of a swing on that one.
I like it. I do not have Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in my lineup for this one, but I do have Chase Briscoe, a guy you mentioned a pick prior. I just, for all the reasons that you mentioned there, I just think he's a guy I'm definitely not worried about usage on this season. So far, at least. He can definitely turn it around in the second half of the regular season, but for all intents and purposes, I think it's a pretty safe bet to just use his Chase Briscoe usage this weekend. And I honestly, the speed was decent there in final practice. He came on stronger as the runs went on, ran a lot of laps in practice as well. I like the double duty guys a little bit this weekend as well. I don't know. I just have a funny feeling that Chase Briscoe could get a solid top 10 here if there are 10 cars running at the finish of this thing. But, nonetheless, I think Chase Briscoe there is a decent bet for a pick this weekend. My next pick here, my 5th one, man, this is tough. This is ridiculously tough because, we've definitely gone the conservative route, as I think many people are this weekend.
I just don't see much value in trying to swing big on guys. A couple exceptions, but interested to see where you go for this next one.
Yeah, me too, because I don't know where I'm going with this one.
Talk your way until you figure something out.
Essentially, I'm just looking at the practice times from this one. Just see if there's anything that sticks out. Man, there's, I can't even rationalize that. I can't do it. I was looking at Denny Hamlin, but I just can't.
Please do so.
I can't do it because the 1 week that he's not going to be consistent is this week when I pick him, and he's been consistent all year. But he has looked exceptionally strong on all the speed charts this weekend. It's just too probably big of an ass to put him in there. So I'll go with a Toyota teammate for my next one here. I'm going to go with Bubba Wallace.
Interesting.
He's doing double duty again this weekend. And I don't know if he'll necessarily have the greatest Truck Series race. He could prove me wrong, but he has won at Eldora in the Truck Series in the past, spun out in practice, but, everybody basically spun out in practice today. Bubba Wallace, I think that there is potential here for – I think he could be a bit over-aggressive. That would be my only caveat to this pick, but I'm not worried about using 10 usages so far on the 23 car, and I think it could be an all-out derby here, and I think Bubba Wallace is going to be absolutely holding nothing back this weekend because – this is a great opportunity for them to maybe even steal a victory if it goes their way. So the speed has been kind of mediocre for them so far, so I'm a little bit hesitant on that. But I'll go with a Toyota here with Bubba Wallace as my 5th pick.
I love that swing because I originally had Bubba Wallace in my lineup but took him out. I thought about taking the swing on Bubba, but he's a guy that won at Eldora that doesn't have much dirt background. And he won that one running the outside line, beating Kyle Larson in that one. So an impressive victory, don't get me wrong. But again, there's not a lot of correlation between Eldora and Bristol dirt. It's just chaos between the two. And I like Bubba as a swing. I thought about doing it myself, but I decided to go a different route. And also an Eldora winner. And this is one where, I don't know, I'm just
I think I know where you're going, but yeah.
I'm pulling something out of a hat and seeing if it works. He's a guy who wins big races. And so yeah. I guess I'm going to take the swing and see if it works out again. And I'm looking at Austin Dillon for this one.
Yeah.
You know what? He's the original or the inaugural Eldora winner, Daytona 500 winner, Coke 600 winner. Guy shows up in big races randomly. Screw it. Why not? He was running the Dirt Nationals last week. He hasn't been great in the speed charts, but you know what? How much are we really going to read into that? Because there's been a lot of big names and people we would expect that are kind of up and down the speed charts. So screw it. I'm putting Austin Dillon in there and seeing what I get out of it.
That's a good pick. I really like that pick.
I
don't know if I'm going to put him in my lineup yet. So you have the opportunity here to finish off your lineup with your sixth and final one. And let me have an opportunity here to see if I can try and figure out my last pick.
The last pick.
There is one guy we have not mentioned whatsoever, and it was a guy that we had extensively talked about on this show looking at it, and that's obviously Kyle Larson. He has not popped up in any discussions as of yet, but the thing that happened to him in practice, he's going to start the race at the rear of the field in both the heat races and as well as the main event on Sunday after an engine change. That could be a big, it could be a big swing. 250 laps around Bristol dirt. He could make up a lot of ground, but I just wanted to throw that out there just so that we make sure that the viewers don't think that we forgot about Mr. Kyle Larson. That's off to one of the best starts we've seen to a NASCAR season in quite some time.
Well, we haven't forgot about Kyle Larson because screw it, I'm going with it. Kyle Larson is in the lineup. I've got 6 usages left. If things don't go well in that first stage, he's getting garaged. Because I feel good about him the rest of the season with the speed they've shown. If they're up there in the front and relatively quickly and getting some big stage points, then maybe I'll consider doing it. But you know what? This is a weekend where you kind of swing and hope for the best. I feel good about the rest of the 5 guys I got there in terms of not being concerned about usages for any of them. So Kyle Larson, I'm going to put him in there as a go big or go home guy who very likely ends up in my garage. But on the off chance he gets back up to the front and gets good stage points in stage 1, potentially wins stage 2, Kyle Larson might be a guy this weekend.
Damn, I did not think that you were going to do it. Honest to God, I didn't. I'm not doing it. I'm just going to put that straight out there. I'm not doing it because
So to be clear, you almost put Denny Hamlin in there, but
yeah, because I have more usages on Hamlin. I have more usages on Hamlin.
Okay.
And Larson starting at the back for this. I mean, it is just way too big of a risk for me personally. So I can't go with Kyle Larson here.
Starting at the back, it means he's the one doing the slide jobs, not other people trying to do them on him. So
hey, I've always said I like people starting at the back, but I think this might be the exception here this weekend. So,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I don't know. I think there's just too much of a risk for him to go up through all these cars without collecting some sort of major damage because it's going to be hectic. Damn, my last pick. Because I feel like the 5 that you had previous to that and the 5 that I had are very similar in terms of what we're going for.
So looking at it, it would be like Newman and Bubba Wallace compared to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Austin Dillon. So those are very, I think, fair comparisons going into this weekend. It's just who's number 6.
Yeah, that's a good question, Kyle. That may have to wait till the next episode.
Small name? Come on.
I don't know. I have a name written down, but I don't like what I've got
talk
there,
talk me through it. Who's the name you got written down?
Tyler Reddick, but I don't think I want to go Tyler Reddick anymore.
Okay.
So, one second here. I got to just check how many usages I've got here on this particular fella.
That would make me think it's a big name. Are you thinking about Ryan Blaney?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I don't care that he finished first in practice. I don't care that he finished first in practice.
I don't know. His dad's one of the best dirt racers of all time. I mean, it's in the blood.
That is true. But I'm going to say that it's not in Blaney's blood this weekend. So
wow. Oh, hey, there's your stay away from. I know who's winning now.
Shoot. Before we recorded here, I said I'm not doing the stay away from this weekend, but apparently I just did one. So that's lovely.
Congratulations to Ryan Blaney for winning back-to-back races here.
Yeah.
All right, pick a damn name here.
All right, my final pick is going to be. Screw it. Let's just go with Denny Hamlin. I don't care.
You're doing it? Oh, man.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Denny.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Denny. Just seems to show up in some of these big races sometimes. And to be honest, if I waste a usage on Hamlin, it's just a wasted usage on Hamlin. I'm going to be.
I mean, I wasted one on Chase Elliott. So
a very similar kind of rationale that you are doing with Kyle Larson. If he performs poorly in the first stage, I'm going to garage him no matter what. But I think it's probably good to have one of these big names up there. And, I was looking at Kyle Busch as well because he has run the dirt stuff here over the past week at Bristol, and his lap times weren't too bad in the final session there. So he seems like he's good on single lap speed, but with the 18 cars luck right now, I just don't know if I can pick him for quite a while here. But I'll round up my lineup with Denny Hamlin just so that I can match you with a big name, but I just don't have the balls to go with Kyle Larson this weekend because I stayed away from him in Atlanta, and that was probably a poor decision. But
it wasn't because you saved the usage and you still won.
Yeah, I know, but it's still a very good usage on Kyle Larson overall for the season. So
there was a lot of good usages we whiffed on. So
absolutely. So that's the lineups for Bristol. I'm not going to give you honorable mentions this weekend. I'm sorry, guys, because anybody in this field is an honorable mention this weekend. Anybody could win it. I mean, even Shane Golobic in 78 could win this race for Live Fast Motorsports. Like, there is so many different things that could happen if there's a lightning delay, a rain delay, or if it gets rain shortened. I don't think that will happen, but you never know. There have been crazier times in this sport. So it should be a very
in their first year, so
yeah, exactly. So I don't know what to expect from this weekend. As judged by our fantasy lineups, we could be getting the last 5 finishers in our of the race. But whatever. At this point, it is just a fun weekend, and we'll accept the results as it comes. It's just basically an all-star weekend here where it actually matters with fantasy. But let's get to the bonus picks, Kyle. All right. I don't have a Cup Series winner pick as of yet, but I've got basically everything else sorted. I don't know how you're feeling about this.
I've got everything except a trucks pick. So
Okay. All righty. So who goes first here for this one? Because obviously you get first pick with the Cup.
I think you go first, but
I'll go first.
We'll cross that bridge when we get to the end of it.
Whatever. For the top Chevrolet finisher, since I'm not having him in my lineup, I'm just going to make sure if he does have a good run that I have him here as a bonus pick, and I'm going to go with Kyle Larson for the top Chevy guy. If there is the off chance that he makes it all the way to the front of the field, because I do think it is a bit of a slimmer chance that he makes it all the way to the front. It's a very competitive lineup out there, but he had very consistent speed throughout all the long runs in practice and had one of the fastest cars on single lap time as well. So I'll just on the off chance that it does occur, I'm going to put Kyle Larson as the top Chevrolet.
Me too. I've got him in my lineup as a home run swing potentially. Even if I do end up grudging him, he's definitely a guy that if the car is still running, we'll be there in the conversation at the end. Just look at some of those past Eldora races where he's in the wall every single turn and still finishes top 5. So Kyle Larson, he's going to be such a fun guy to watch this weekend. And coming from the back just adds to it. So I think he's got to be the play there, right? Like, there's some other guys that are interesting picks.
I think Bowman is a good candidate if you want to. If you prefer a guy that's most likely going to be starting near the front.
Hell, even like Chase Elliott or William Byron, like honestly, just spin a wheel. Like,
yeah. I could have gone the randomizer this week, but I didn't. So, I don't know. I think Larson's just a safe bet here.
That one, but
I'm sorry.
I wanted to defeat the randomizer and just show that it's a hex on you, but.
Well, I mean, I don't need to do it to know that that's the case, but Shop Chevrolet guy, you can spin a roulette wheel for these, honestly, and just hope for the best. And Kyle Larson's our pick for top Chevy. Who you got for top Ford?
Top Ford, once again, I've got, I think, one Ford in my lineup. Yeah, and that's Chase Briscoe, and that's who I'm rolling with. As I mentioned earlier, he's a guy that's got a lot of Truck Series experience at Eldora. Not a lot to take from one to the other, but you know what? There's not a lot to take in general in terms of any kind of informed guesses or anything like that. So Chase Briscoe, it could be a lot of different people. There's a lot of talented drivers at Ford that could figure things out by the end of this race. I just think Chase Briscoe is probably the most likely there.
Yeah, Ford's an interesting one because they don't really have this dirt guy or anybody that falls under that category. It's mostly in the Chevrolet camp. For this specific manufacturer. But, I mean, I have Chase Briscoe in my lineup, but I think it's just maybe a little bit too rich for my blood to put him in as the top Ford finisher. So I'm going to go with Ryan Blaney. I'll just say that you go with the big heavy hitters here, see what I can get out of it.
I like the Blaney swing.
Just in case, as you mentioned, his dad is a legend in the dirt scene. So I think it's just a safer bet. People who go onto the Dale Jr. podcast usually do a pretty good run the next weekend. So I'll continue that trend and say Ryan Blaney is the top Ford finisher for Bristol. Top Toyota. Not many options for this one. There is slim pickings, and I mean it's an interesting one.
You got a big name in your lineup there.
I do have a big name in my lineup. This is a tough one for me because I don't know if I want to go full in on Christopher Bell or if I want to look elsewhere in the Toyota camp here, because I originally have Kyle Busch's name written down. Ooh. But
you got 3 Toyotas in your lineup here.
Yeah. So I'll just go with the safe pick. I'll go with Christopher Bell for this one. Just in case. It's literally just that. I don't want to make myself look like a fool, and Christopher Bell just shows up the field. I can't go with Kyle Busch over the dirt guy and Bell. So, that's my top Toyota.
I wish you hadn't done that because I've got Christopher Bell in there. Who knows? Like, it could easily be Bubba Wallace. I don't know, man.
Honestly, I think it could.
It's like, who knows at this point? And Martin Truex Jr. was looking pretty solid on the dirt as well. So,
yeah, he really picked up. Like, he struggled in the first couple of runs, and then like he followed Larson, I swear to God, for like at least 3 runs straight. And he's just like picked up his pace like an insane amount. So props to him. He looks pretty good.
But yeah, Christopher Bell, like it's the obvious one in terms of obvious dirt background, has had a solid start to the season, though it has been up or down. But you know what? I think Bell's going to be looking to maybe get a little bit of retribution on Larson for the Chili Bowl earlier this year, and maybe try and go out and snag the win from him here. If those are the
that'd be so good. So. We've been basically like looking forward to this battle between Larson and Bell in competitive cars for years because of their rivalry and success in the dirt. This is the one I'm begging that this happens at some point where they are the front two, where they are battling consistently lap after lap, because that's what fans are really looking forward to here. And this could be maybe the next big, they're really close friends, so I wouldn't necessarily call it a rivalry, but it is just a fun thing to keep your eye on for the race.
Rivalry is an okay word. Rivalry doesn't always necessarily mean like animosity between two guys, but
true.
There's a significant amount of competition between the two, just given the backgrounds and everything like that. So hopefully we get to see that play out, because I think that's what a lot of people are hoping we end up getting. But
yeah, absolutely. All righty. winning manufacturer.
Yes.
I believe you have the first pick for this one.
Yes, I do. And a bit different from the last couple of weeks. The last couple of weeks has been Ford and then mixing it up for the organization, trying to spread it out a little bit. This one, I kind of like what Chevrolet's bringing to the table here. Even when you look at some of the maybe underdog, to use a word that doesn't really work here because everyone's kind of an underdog except for like a couple of guys here. But I think Chevy's got the best mix of top-end contenders like a Kyle Larson, but also a lot of potential upset guys, whether you look at the Austin Dillons, Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s, even an Alex Bowman to a certain extent as well. They've got a lot of guys who could go out there and potentially get a win there, in addition to the top-end guys who you would expect to be in the conversation. So I'm rolling with Chevy for winning manufacturer here.
I am as well. I really like Chevrolet this weekend. I think they have the most amount of cars that I think could be competitive this weekend. Not obviously apart from Kyle Larson. I'm not going with Toyota just based off of the pure lack of numbers. I think there is a possibility that they could definitely win this weekend. It's just too big of a risk to put it in about 5 guys there to say that they're going to go out there and win compared to the amount of guys that are very competitive on the Chevrolet side of things. As we said before with Ford, I just don't quite see that it guy there this weekend. But they could surprise us. You never know. But I think Chevrolet's probably the easy pick across the board. But anybody could win this weekend. It's the apparent theme. So Chevrolet I think is a good one. We move on to one of the last ones here, winning organization. See, now we've gone both Chevrolet here. Are we going to diversify our lineups?
Yes.
And go with
and we've done that a lot recently.
Absolutely, we have. And, Joe Gibbs, Team Penske. We haven't really looked at SHR just because it is just a Kevin Harvick show at this point. But, there's a lot of guys that you can go with
Hendrick the last couple of weeks with the Ford manufacturer and kind of split it. And it's worked well in that regard. So.
Yep. And I'm not going to be splitting it this weekend. I'm going to stay on the Chevrolet side of things, and I'm going to Hendrick Motorsports this weekend. I like basically all 4 of those guys potentially to have a solid run here this weekend. Chase Elliott probably the least, but Kyle Larson, if he does win the race, just as a backup so that he's not in my lineup, I will maximize bonus picks here if he does win the race. So, and if he doesn't, I think Alex Bowman is a very good shout for a good run here this weekend. So I don't know. I'm going to go with it. I'm going to double down on the Chevrolet side of things with Hendrick Motorsports. And I think it's just too big of a risk to kind of diversify and just mess up if you mess up entirely. So I'm going to go with just a direct hit here and hopefully it lands on Sunday.
I really wish you diversified because I'm not. I'm doubling down as well. And I'm looking at Hendrick for the winning organization for the exact same reasons that you mentioned there. I think that they've got 4 guys that could, in theory, go out and win it. You've got potentially the favorite in Kyle Larson, but you've got Chase Elliott, who is one of the best drivers in NASCAR right now. And when you're looking at guys to potentially maybe start the race and not be as good and then figure it out as the race goes along, he's got to be among the top contenders in that regard. Alex Bowman, we've seen the speed already. He's got some dirt background as well. And then William Byron is such a raw prospect as well, where we don't really know what to expect from him.
One iRacing, so I mean, that's...
iRacing model is terrible for this track right now. But anyways, Hendrick Motorsports, I just think is the swing to make. I don't see the value really for Penske. I don't see the value for SHR, Joe Gibbs, anything like that.
I could see Gibbs as the second team here because Hamlin.
Okay. I would say Gibbs is the second one, but even then, when you're looking at like the favorite there in terms of Bell,
absolutely,
it's Larson. When you look at some of the potential contrarian contenders in a certain regard, in terms
Hendrick's
of big
depth
names,
is better than Gibbs.
They can figure it out. Yeah, I think it's just a little step better for Hendrick the entire way. So I'm agreeing with you on that one.
Yeah,
and it's time. Winner picks.
Yeah, quickly on Larson though, because what I noticed in practice is that I really think that this, Brad Keselowski said on Race Hub this week that he doesn't think a dirt guy is going to win it this weekend, and I don't know whether I agree with him or not yet. But honestly, but I think the one thing that the dirt guys will have is the advantage of willingness to move around the track. And I think some guys will become stagnant and just kind of accept the groove that they're in and just make it work for them.
Yeah.
But Larson, Bell, Briscoe, I could see a whole bunch of these guys just experimenting with the top line, because that's where it's going to be less likely to be run. And just their willingness to explore different options, and they have the confidence and the capability in themselves that they can handle that kind of adversity up at the top, because it may not be necessarily the fastest, but they can work it in and make that ground up as the race goes on. So I think it's an important note there, is that for the dirt guys, they feel a whole lot more comfortable as the race moves on, to make their situations better for themselves, while other guys may be a bit too afraid to test it and then risk spinning out or wrecking or something like that. So just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and to that point, I think one of the big things for those dirt guys as well, with the willingness to move around, is they'll know how to predict the track changing and be ahead of the curve and those kind of things. Whereas, the track evolution there, a lot of the other drivers that don't have as much dirt experience will be reacting to the track, whereas those dirt guys who know how the dirt reacts to lots of laps and those kind of things will know how to predict the track. And I think that's something where, as we see the track start to change, we can see those dirt guys make gains on those laps where people are trying to figure out the evolution there. And that can be a key factor, whether that's late in a race or in the middle of a longer run, depending on how the cautions and everything like that fall. So I'm glad you make that point there as well.
Alrighty, Truck Series winner. I want to quickly remind everybody on who's running in the Truck Series race here that may not be familiar.
Everyone.
Yeah, basically. Half the Cup Series field is. But the Cup guys that have come down here for the race this weekend, Daniel Suarez is obviously one there in the 02. Chase Briscoe in the 04. Bubba Wallace in the 11. Kevin Harvick in the 17 truck this weekend. And there's a whole bunch here. Oh my goodness. Ryan Newman in the 39. That feels so nice and nostalgic to see Ryan Newman in the 39 again. It just feels right, to be honest. But and then Kyle Larson in the 44 for Nice Motorsports. Martin Truex Jr. for KBM in the 51 truck. Jessica Friesen, obviously Stuart Friesen's wife here, trying to make the field in the 62 truck. The first time that organization there for Homer. Friesen Motorsports is going to be entering two trucks into the same race on the same weekend. So hopefully she makes the field here through the qualifying heats. And then I believe that's it for the Cup Series, guys, if I'm not mistaken. I might have missed one, but Mike Snyder's in there from
Suarez.
Yeah, I mentioned Suarez off the top. So, those are the big names there. But some pretty notable big names here that could succeed on Sunday, namely Kyle Larson, which is an interesting one. But I get first pick here because you get first pick for the Cup Series. And I'm not going with the Cup Series guy to win this race. I think a Truck Series regular gets the W here on Saturday. And, it may look a little biased, but he ran well in practice. The averages look pretty damn solid, not to mention that he was on this show a couple of weeks back. Rafael Lessard is my pick to win the Truck Series race here at the Bristol Dirt.
You would.
He said that on the show, show, that he didn't know what to expect for the Bristol Dirt, but he hopes that the snow that he's been accustomed to living in up here in Canada as a Canadian will pay off. I'm going with it. Rafael Lessard wins his second career Truck Series race and punches his ticket to the playoffs. He gets it done on Saturday. So I like the pick. Obviously, could be a bit biased, but nonetheless, I didn't want to take a swing on the Cup Series guy because I just felt like that was too easy. But Rafael Lessard is my guy for this weekend.
Well, I have to say I love it for starters. But what I got to say is that would also mean back-to-back Canadian winners on the dirt in the Truck Series, because Friesen, of course, is the defending winner. But for myself, for starters, I'm talking here because I don't know who I'm picking yet. But
he's pulling the old Wacker with the stall.
I pulled up the Eldora results, and I thought there was an interesting back and forth trend. Going back to 2015, it went truck winner, Cup winner, truck winner, not Cup, but Xfinity winner, guy coming down in Briscoe in 2018. 2019, Friesen, Truck Series guy. 2020, of course, not held. So I'm looking for somebody going back down. I don't feel good about swinging on like Snyder or something like that. So I'm going to look to a Cup guy here.
I really hope you pick the guy that I'm thinking of right here, but I'll let you go.
I think you want me to take Ryan Newman. I'm not. I'm not going to take Ryan Newman.
Oh, man.
Unfortunately. Who do I want to go with?
Fastest in consecutive 10-lap averages was Newman, though, so.
That's a fair point there. That's a fair point. But I think
second fastest overall in practice, too. Jeez, look at him go.
I'm going to go Chase Briscoe.
Oh, that's a good one.
He's run a lot on the Eldora Truck Series stuff. He knows how the cars work, the trucks work on the dirt. Won back in 2018 with the 27 ThorSport car there, running the 04 for Roper Racing. This year, they almost won at Daytona. I'll say that team and Chase Briscoe goes and gets it done on the dirt at Bristol.
Love it. Anybody that you're looking forward to seeing there in the Truck Series, because it is a very much an odd weekend with the Cup guys coming down, or anybody that you're keeping an eye on in particular? There's a whole bunch of names.
The big one is Kevin Harvick in the 17, because that's a good truck as well. I just don't know.
Truex in the 51 for me.
Truex as well in the 51. I think the regular that I'm most intrigued to watch this one is actually Sheldon Creed, because he comes from that stadium trucks background. And just
mine's Haley Deegan.
It's tough not to, right? But Sheldon Creed is a guy that you would think would be strong on the dirt, just given his background. He hasn't really translated to being like a winner contender yet on the dirt here, but also hasn't had the same amount of chances to do so. But yeah, Haley Deegan as well, just given the dirt background as well. So yeah, obviously Jessica Friesen as well. Hope she makes the show.
27th fastest in practice. That's a really good number. He beat Bubba Wallace, Ryan Truex, and Mike Snyder. Like, that is exceptional. She beat Haley Deegan in practice. That's exceptional pace.
I have no clue what to expect for this race. I find it extraordinarily strange that Tanner Gray, a pro stock guy, is up there in terms of the lap times as well.
Yep.
I would not expect drag racing to translate to dirt success, but here we are. And yeah, there's just so many fun names, like Parker Kligerman as well is up there. Like, there's just so many things to watch. It's unfortunate we got to send 4 of these trucks home after the races, but it's going to be exciting to watch, and it's going to be nuts. And I absolutely love it.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to the Truck Series races, like the Kickstarter to the weekend there, when you're watching this within a matter of hours here on Saturday. So, yes, this is it. The Cup Series winner pick. That one doesn't matter when it comes to fantasy. This one does, if we can nail this. That one's just for fun. But
this one.
You have first pick here, good sir.
I do.
For the Cup Series winner pick. Who wins the inaugural Bristol Dirt?
I have no clue who's going to win this race, but I feel like I cannot pass on this guy and let you potentially take it, and that's Kyle Larson. I just can't do it. I just can't do it.
And I really wanted you to go creative. Like, why couldn't you do that this week?
No. I am looking to maximize here. I've got him as my top Chevy. I've got him as my winner. I've got him as my manufacturer. I've got him as my organization. I'm hoping for come through the field and win it for Kyle Larson. I'm hoping he gets a bunch of stage points so I can get him in my lineup as well. If not, well, then I still got the backup plan, because Kyle Larson is a madman. He's a wheelman. And I'm fascinated to see how he does this weekend.
All right. That's a good pick, obviously. I think we get a 7th different winner in 7 races to start this season.
So not Christopher Bell here.
No, I feel like I don't want to go with the 2 dirt guys for the picks. That's just too simple.
So you really want the chaos here.
I'm begging for the chaos here.
Okay.
I want NASCAR and the fans to go in uproar over this race, so that they're like, oh my gosh, why are we having this guy win the race?
Except if it's good chaos, then it's going to be, let's do more of this.
Okay, there's only one way that happens, and it is if Mr. Busch ends up in victory lane. But that is, that's going to be probably very difficult to accomplish. But my winner pick for this weekend. Oh man, I should have planned this out. I should have put a lot more.
Me not taking Kyle Larson.
I don't know. You're an inventive guy. You usually do something a little bit out of the box sometimes.
I do that if I'm picking second. I don't do that if I'm picking first.
Yeah, damn. But I'll still keep continuing to pick second if that's what it takes for this season. So,
okay.
for the winner pick here this weekend. I'll go with I'll go with Alex Bowman.
Okay.
I'll go with his teammate. I don't know. I just can't quite get a good pick here. I don't know. I'm having a tough time. I'm really struggling here. Just try and rationale any sort of pick here. I'll go with Bowman. His speed looked good. I think he's a pretty conservative driver at times, can be aggressive when he needs to. I think Hendrick's brought a pretty good package here this weekend. And, I'll just try and maximize it. If it is Hendrick Motorsports, it is a Chevrolet, then Alex Bowman would do me well in that sense. So that if Kyle Larson doesn't win, I think Alex Bowman could be a good shout. Yeah. I don't know. I would not be surprised if Christopher Bell won this race, to be honest, or Chase Briscoe or something like that. I didn't quite want to bite entirely on somebody like Chase Briscoe or something like that quite yet. It's a rookie, and it is, a pretty extracurricular event here with
everyone's
the Bristol
a rookie
Dirt,
here, really,
essentially. But if we get the winner picks right, either of us, props to us. Larson's a good one, but if I get Bowman right, I'll be over the moon. But I'm entirely expecting to be wrong on that, and we'll take it as it is for the Bristol Dirt. So that does it for the fantasy picks and the bonus picks for this weekend. Looking forward to it. As much as we have, slated this decision by NASCAR and Fox to put this event on, they've done a great job of marketing this thing. I'm very curious to see what the viewership is. I'm sure you are as well, Kyle.
Yes.
Because it is just a main event. It's on Fox, the main network this weekend. I'm
more interested to see the viewership here than like the Daytona 500 or anything.
Absolutely. Because they've been promoting this throughout the entire offseason since this decision was made.
Promoting it more than the next race in the schedule.
Absolutely. They've
been
taken,
hey, in X amount of weeks, here's Bristol Dirt, and oh, by the way, next week we go to Atlanta or whatever. Yeah. And it's like, okay.
They've maximized it. And of course, you expect that from Fox because they really push for this move to happen. And, in all honesty,
it's all on Fox here.
I hope that it pays off for them because I would hate for them to look silly and, it doesn't quite get the viewership that honestly, though, I just think, when you invest so much time and energy, and Bristol's done, an admirable job here to put this on, and just with track maintenance and everything like that, and experimenting with different ideas with the Dirtles now, there's a whole bunch of different things that they've done, and props to them. I applaud the entire sanctioning body that's put this decision on. I would obviously prefer if it wasn't here, but we will take it as it is. And,
great job, all the hard work. Good job. I wish you didn't do it.
You could have just saved yourself a lot of money and time and effort if you just kept with the thing that wasn't broken.
Yeah.
So,
was literally rated the best race last year.
Absolutely. And, it's not in the calendar this year, is it? So I'm looking forward to it. Nonetheless, I'm expecting fireworks. I'm hoping that there's some tensions boiling after this one, but at the end of the day, I don't know if the drivers will necessarily hold a whole bunch of grudges after this one because it is just a crapshoot at the end of the day. Yep. And 250 laps qualifying, the heat races here. We'll see how the passing points and all of that situation works out and how it sets the lineup here. Looking forward to seeing how that plays out, how strategic guys are wanting to play with aggressiveness and wanting to try and maximize their starting position here because track position is going to be absolutely key, not only for visibility, but to stay out of trouble as well. And we'll see how the strategy approaches this weekend, see if NASCAR makes any changes to the last stage if they want to with the tire degradation that we've seen so far. Lots of different storylines, lots of different elements. Looking forward to the pre-race show and how they all want to handle it. And, of course, 250 laps in potential muddy Bristol. I'm really hoping for the sake of this event that it doesn't get any sort of rain delay or something like that where they can't race in it physically and it just ruins the ratings for Fox or something like that because that's what happened to the Daytona 500. They could use a break here and at the end of the day, we want what's best for the sport, and that's viewership with fans staying in and tuning into from start at the green flag to the checker flag at the end of the thing. So that's my big spiel there at the end of the thing for Bristol Dirt. Any final thoughts on the NASCAR weekend that is very much upon us here, Kyle, before we move into Formula One?
Just looking forward to the chaos that is and trying to enjoy it for what it is. Similarly, I hope it goes off without any weather influences or anything like that. Just hoping that they can get through it cleanly and see how the racing goes because it's an interesting experiment. I wish they'd done it on an actual dirt track and not made Bristol a dirt track.
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
it's you got to give props for NASCAR for going out there and trying something super, super bold, and that's exactly what this is. And it's the first kind of real big change in the schedule that we've had so far this season, because Daytona Road Course wasn't like an actual thing that they were planning to do. It was circumstantial. This is the first thing that they planned to do. And yeah, I know, I'm sorry. You get another year at least before they change it up. So at least there's that. But I guess that wasn't a great reminder as well. I'm sorry. But this is the first big change to the schedule that NASCAR had originally planned.
Yes.
It's bold. It's designed to both reinvigorate the fan base in the Bristol area to get the attendance there. Obviously, it's not going to be like a sellout or anything like that, given the circumstances.
Yeah.
But viewership, attendance, all those kind of things, fascinating to see how it goes.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, do you want to do any sort of over/under here, 15 cars on the lead lap or something like that? I mean,
I'm taking the over. I'm taking the over there because, well, I don't know, man. I think
like if I were to put it at like
cautions,
15 and a half, would you say that there's going to be under or over?
I think there's going to be
there's no safer barriers there this weekend as well, so we're not expecting big impacts or anything like that. So,
who knows?
Hopefully not.
What I'll say is I'm expecting enough cautions to where there's more lead lap cars than that, but I don't know if there'll be that many cars that make it to the end of the race.
I see.
So
yeah, I'm very curious to see how the overheating stuff. I think that's going to be a huge
I think there's
going
to be a lot of that kind of stuff, but I'll take the slight over. I'll say we get like in the 18 range in the lead lap finishes.
I'll take the under just to take the different side of things. I think it's going to be close to 15 and a half. I'd say like 13-ish, something like that. How many DNFs are we thinking here? Like eight and a half, if I were to set it at that, maybe.
So what, we got 39 cars.
Yeah.
That's a good line. I'll give you that one. I'll take the slight over. I'll say we get 9.
9. Okay. I'll take just to switch it up. I think I'll put it at 7. I think it's going to be like right around that.
I think there'll be a couple of crashes that put people out, and then I think that there'll be some mechanical stuff as well.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how the back markers do this weekend as well. How much of an advantage, or how much do they want to take advantage of an opportunity like this, where it is, somewhat an even playing field, and everybody's within a couple of tenths, and lap traffic should be
engines one and heck of a show. Still matter, but you would assume that guys like Stuart Friesen are going to have a better shot than they normally would on any given weekend.
Absolutely. All righty. That's the preview for the NASCAR Cup Series and Truck Series events here at the Bristol Dirt. Enjoy the racing on that side of things. Let's quickly look.
Try to at least.
Let's quickly look at Formula One and make some predictions here. FP1, FP2 are already in the books by the time we're recording this. FP3 and of course qualifying will be done by the time you're watching this, but looking forward to F1 being back. First off, lots of different movement over the off season. We covered that extensively over the past year. Looking forward to seeing how the rivalry at the front can shape up with Red Bull and Mercedes. McLaren look very, very strong from what we've seen in practice times. Curious to see how that plays out in qualifying here. And then the midfield battle looks as tight as ever. Ferrari looks like they've kind of come back to an extent. Alpine, we don't really know what to expect from them right now. Alonso's been a little bit off the pace from Ocon to start. And then Aston Martin, I think they're still playing a little bit, holding a little bit of their cards. And I think they are playing a little bit of catch up. And then AlphaTauri look absolutely insanely strong to start the season here. Yuki Sonoda has been probably my storyline of the entire preseason testing and the first weekend so far here, just with his exemplary pace. And I was not expecting him to adjust this quickly to Formula One, but he is absolutely just, past the flying colors so far. Curious to see how he does on the race weekend here. We have done our F1 fantasy as well this season. That is a new addition to the Green Flag this year. The link to join our fantasy league will be in the description of the video. We have our lineups already posted on Instagram here, but to give you a quick reminder of what we're looking at for this weekend for myself, I've gone with Max Verstappen, Pierre Gasly, Lando Norris, Yuki Tsunoda is in my lineup, so both AlphaTauris, and Carlos Sainz are the 5 drivers I'm rolling with, and Red Bull as my constructor. Obviously, we have to abide by the $100 million cap limit that F1 requires, so each driver is valued differently, so make sure you fit underneath that cap and give it your best shot, and you can adjust that periodically throughout the year to try and fit your needs to make your lineup a success. So that's going to be a fun addition here. We won't really necessarily talk about it on a week-to-week basis as much as the NASCAR stuff that we do, but it is just a fun thing to do along with this F1 season. So yeah, that's the preface of the weekend here. Of course, you got your back markers there. Haas looked very much off the pace. This isn't even their really car that they're bringing to the track. It's going to be at Imola at the second race where they really show what they've got. And then Russell looked very strong so far for Williams carrying that team. And then Raikkonen had a spin in practice that damaged his car, but he is back ready to roll here for the remainder of the weekend. So what are you making of your initial impressions so far? I'm sure you've looked at the practice times, and just your initial thoughts of what this weekend may have in store for us in Bahrain.
Yeah, it's very close all the way through, and we haven't seen everybody play their full cards yet. Like, for example, Verstappen's top times in practice were still a couple seconds off of what he was doing in preseason testing. So we know there's still quite a bit to be unlocked once we get to qualifying here and once we get to qualifying runs in FP3 as well. But that being said, seems like we've got a pretty close grid here. When you look at Mercedes bringing a lot more pace than what they showed in preseason testing, Red Bull still looking strong, McLaren looking like they might be kind of the cream of the crop in that mid-pack. Teams like Aston Martin, even Alpine a little bit struggling more so than we maybe thought. Ferrari looking strong as well, at least relative to last season, I should say. So things are looking like they're going to be super, super exciting. And this is a weekend that we're going into where we don't know who's going to be on pole, where we don't know who's going to be the one to go out and win. So super excited in that regard. I think we're going to have a really, really fun season here starting in Bahrain.
Absolutely. Last year, when we look at when the season started back in Austria, way back in the middle of the summer, it seemed back then. Doesn't seem that long ago, but that start of the season was an absolute banger of a Grand Prix with, I think it was 11 finishers at the end of it. So we had quite a few DNFs at that one. The first race usually does supply a couple of reliability issues. And of course, in the desert in Bahrain, you expect that there could be something along those lines here this weekend. It's just that I find this track very, very underrated. I love this race. I love this track. I think it provides great racing, lots of overtakes, and I'm looking forward to what Bahrain has in store for us, especially with this incredibly compact and tight midfield. And I think the top battle is going to be as close as ever. I'm intrigued to see what happens here with qualifying. You already know the results when you're watching this, as I've said. But what are you thinking here for the pole position? I know for all intents and purposes here, we can just have it on record that we have our pole pick in. So who's fastest for the first pole position of the season?
That's a good question because we haven't seen Mercedes unlock really their top end potential. We've seen Red Bull be consistently at the top. But once again, both teams have more to give. And it does seem like Mercedes is struggling at least a little bit here. We saw Bottas complain a decent amount about the car earlier today as we're recording this. But I'll say Red Bull continue the theme, at least to start this season. I'll say they'll go and grab pole with Max Verstappen here.
I have Verstappen winning pole as well. I really, really like the way that car looks so far in practice. Looks very stable. I haven't heard one complaint really from Verstappen this entire time. He's been in this new car this season, and I think Mercedes are just I think they're gonna be right there. I would not be surprised if Hamilton wins pole here because I think he's better around Bahrain than Bottas is. If it was starting in Australia, I would feel differently. But obviously that is not the case this season. I like Verstappen quite a bit around here. Going out for redemption, last time he was here for the Sakir Grand Prix, got taken out on lap 1 there in that crazy incident there with Leclerc and Perez, and we all know how that one unfolded. So I think, he's had some bad luck here in the past as Verstappen. I think he kind of redeems himself here on Saturday and gets pole. But let's look. What are we looking at for the podium here, Kyle? We'll go from 3 to 1. What are you thinking for your first? We'll go back and forth here. Who's third here on your podium for the opening race of the season?
Third on the podium. The question is do I predict a little bit of chaos or do I go more straightforward with it? And straightforward is a little bit boring. So third and picking up an opening podium for the second straight season, I have Lando Norris.
You son of a gun. I have him too. That's exactly why I'm going with him. He's looked exceptionally strong on the timing sheet so far, and I predicted him as my surprise driver of the year. I'm going to go with him to get an opening podium in this one. I really like Lando Norris this weekend. I'm expecting big things from that McLaren. And I
should also add, I'm not just picking it because of the speed they've shown or just because he got an opening podium last year. The big thing for me is in 2019 as a rookie, he finished 6th on this layout. Last year, he finished 4th on this layout. He's been really, really strong here in his young F1 career. The McLaren looks even better. I'm expecting Daniel Ricciardo to at least take a couple races to really get up to true speed in this one. And assuming that there's a little bit of chaos in this race, maybe opens up the door for 1 or 2 surprise podium finishers. And so that's why I've got Norris there, not just because of the opening podium last year and pace to start this year. I think there's legitimate reasons for him. And I think that's also why he's both in our fantasy lineups with the turbo tag as well.
Yeah, he is our turbo tag guy, getting double points here. So hopefully we don't mess up on that one. Knowing our luck,
I feel good about it unless there's some kind of mechanical issue or a wreck.
Yeah, I do as well. He's a pretty, I wouldn't say conservative driver, but he knows his limits, and I think he stays within that sometimes, and that can do him well here in the opening race of the season, where you don't want to push too hard here and get yourself into trouble. I like the level head that Lando Norris shows. I think he picks up a podium here in the first race of the season for the second consecutive year. For P2, I'm going to go with Lewis Hamilton here for P2. I think the Mercedes is going to still be exceptionally strong. I think he's going to give Verstappen quite the time throughout the race. You can guess who I got for P1 there with Verstappen winning this race. But Lewis Hamilton, there's just no denying his talent. He's had success around Bahrain in the past. And I think he's looking for a little bit of redemption. Missed the Secure Grand Prix. It's not the same layout, of course, but I think he goes out and gets a solid run here. Opens his season with a podium. Isn't traditionally the fastest starter to a season, but the European stint usually is where he picks up into full swing. I think he will have to wait an extra weekend here before he picks up his first race victory of the season.
Yeah, Lewis is an interesting one there. I think it's Lewis versus Max for 1 and 2. Unless, again, there's something mechanical or a crash or something like that. Lewis has won the last 2 races on this layout and is finished on the podium every single year for who knows how long. I think at least until 2014, probably even further back. The guy's an animal. But I'll go a little bit different. I'll say Lewis Hamilton gets the win and Verstappen finishes second here. I think that the Mercedes has a little bit more race pace at this point than they do single lap speed from what they've shown so far in some of the lap averages over like 7 laps, 8 laps, those kind of things.
Yeah, they did look good.
Mercedes looked better than they did in terms of the single lap speed. So I'll say that continues, and I'll say Hamilton grabs the win with Verstappen second.
I like it. I wasn't expecting maybe for you to go to Lando Norris here for an opening podium, but I do like it. I like where your hand's at, obviously.
Normally I wouldn't, but I like the way that the numbers are trending. 6th in 2019, 4th last year. He's been really strong.
Second this year?
I mean, that's the way it's trending, at least. One other guy that I really want to look at in terms of being a guy that I think is going to surprise this weekend, and I don't know if surprise is the right word at this point, but Pierre Gasly as well.
Yes.
He's similarly been very, very strong at Bahrain in his career. In 2018, finished 4th, 2019, 8th. In 2020, last year, he finished 6th on this layout. He's been very strong at this track in his career so far, especially with the speed
Toro Rosso's
showed.
Great.
I don't see any reason why Gasly shouldn't be potentially even challenging for a top 6 finish.
I say Toro Rosso there because Toro Rosso was exceptionally good around here, and that's obviously translated into AlphaTauri. Yeah. I remember this is one of their best tracks as a constructor, and Pierre Gasly, this is one of his best tracks overall.
And finally here, I think we should also mention the difference we do have in our fantasy lineups, Yuki Sonoda versus Esteban Ocon there. Ocon, he doesn't have the flashy numbers at this layout, of course. He had the podium finish at Secure, but we're looking at this layout. Two 10th place finishes with Force India, and then 9th place finish last year with Renault. Nothing flashy, but he's been consistent here in the points. I don't really know what to expect from the Alpine right now. I think it's similar to the Mercedes. I think they have more race pace than they do single lap speed, so that might hamper some of the qualifying speed and position he starts in. But I think Ocon is a pretty solid bet to finish in that kind of like 8th to 12th range.
I think Yuki Sonoda for me was just I'm riding the Sonoda hype train.
And I love the value there because I think easily he could shoot up in price and earn you a few extra dollars to spend there potentially. But I like Ocon at 10.1 as well, especially when you look at Alonso being like, 15.6 or something like that. Like it's a big discrepancy. So I'm betting a little bit on the Alpine having some more race pace there. But hey, you know what? We both are going with our drivers that we said would surprise this year. So we got to stick with it.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to F1. It's always fun to start the season.
Super pumped. F2 as well this year is going to be super, super fun. That starts this weekend as well.
Yeah, I think they start out in the afternoon, correct?
Yeah. Sprint races tomorrow and then the feature on Sunday. So
okay, all right. Yeah, I'll be sure to watch probably the highlights of it. But
should be very fun there. Guan Yu Zhou, top qualifier there. Felipe Drugovich, there we go. Good qualifying as well, making the shift over to UNI Virtuosi. So some interesting things to follow there. A bit of a different format as well for F2 this year, going to less tracks but more races for each weekend. They're adding another sprint race to the schedule for each weekend. So a jam-packed weekend for those F2 drivers when they are in action. Kind of a crappy schedule, but we don't have to talk about that. But F2 is always fantastic, and I'm sure it'll be much the same this weekend.
Yeah, you've got a couple of guys in our preseason predictions for next season with the driver transfers in F2 this season that could be stepping up to F1 next season. Christian Lundgaard, I believe, was one. Yep. There was another one as well, I think, that you had. But
I can't remember.
Did you put Yuri Vips in there?
Oh, yes, that's right. I had Yuri Vips moving up into the AlphaTauri. I forgot about that one.
Alrighty, so I think that covers it. I didn't have anybody, but looking forward to this entire weekend of racing. Should be a massive one.
Robert Schwartzman as well, rookie last year, who was in contention for the title right up until the last couple of weekends as well. He's going to be another one to watch. A lot of great names and racers in that F2 series.
Yeah, it was looked at for a potential F1 seat at one point for this season. So the potential is absolutely there in F2, and it's going to be an evolving storyline as the season goes on and what happens for the next-gen car for Formula One that happens next season and what teams want to make moves for with their driver lineups concerning that particular situation. But any final thoughts to wrap up this chaotic episode all over the place, but nonetheless, it is fun to have F1 back this weekend. And of course, it's like basically the most chaotic weekend we could have really asked for. F1 starting and the Bristol dirt.
Yeah, it's a bonkers weekend to say the least, but very much looking forward to it. F1 somehow is going to be the calm part of the weekend, which is not a sentence anyone should ever say. But NASCAR is going to be wild, and the heat races are going to be super fun to watch. The truck race is going to be bananas. It's going to be so ridiculously fun. And then the Cup Series is either going to be a banger or it's going to suck, and there's no in between. So I have
be sure to let you know our opinions. That's for sure.
I have no clue what to expect this weekend for NASCAR. F1, F2 as well are going to be super fun if you're into it as well. MotoGP starts up this weekend in Qatar as well. So a lot of different motorsports this weekend. So going to be a wild time, that's for sure.
For sure. I'm really looking forward to this weekend of racing. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at The Green Flag Pod, as well as Twitter at The Green Flag Pod. We'll be active on there throughout the week. Bahrain is actually at a decent starting time for me, so I may have to actually get up for the start of this one at 8 a.m.
starting time for me.
So I'll I may just have to risk it and wake up a little early for my Sunday, but I'll take it to watch an F1 race live, and we'll be sure to be active on there throughout the weekend. So make sure you go follow us on both of those accounts. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it. Fantasy is back in full force in 2 different motorsports now this season, so make sure you go follow us and join both our leagues there. It's never too late to join the NASCAR one. It's only a couple of races into the season, so make sure you go join us there at the Green Flag Pod on the NASCAR Fantasy app, and of course on Formula One's Fantasy app with the code that will be in the description of the video. But for this episode, I've been Lukas Wacker. He's been Kyle Cushman, signing off for now. We will talk to you the beginning of next week to somehow recap this incredible weekend of racing. Enjoy it all, everybody.